somebody that in business, we've always respected one another. We never did work together yet until now. And that's Darren Kidd gave me a call as we were getting off a cruise ship in South Florida. I said, Darren, what are you up to these days? He said, well, I'm not doing any more network marketing. I'm not taking on any coaching clients. And I intend to make $50 million in the next 18 to 24 months. And I said, okay, what are you doing? Some of you might have said, oh, good luck, right? But I knew him well, and I do trust him. I love his family, his wife. And he ended up inviting us to meet with a couple billionaires out in Puerto Rico and Dorado, and one had Tony created over three companies that produced over $1 billion in revenue. He has one that does 2 billion a year with $1 billion a year revenue income. So it was really that's one of the many people that Darren rattled off. Another gentleman, Bright, had been at one point the number one miner of Bitcoin in North America. And we're going down there. But guys, I knew nothing about blockchain technology. We're here tonight to tell you a little bit about that. And we've really done our homework and gotten into this and learned so much over the past few months. And our goal is to keep it as simple as possible, because when you meet with people who've been in this space or people who've been around this for a long time, they tend to speak a lot of verbiage and words that are new, and we're going to try to keep it as simple as we can. And I want to encourage you too, if you're here for the first time, be patient with. There's a lot of new vocabulary. There's new concepts. The whole thing. But I will tell you, we are extremely excited. By the time we left Puerto Rico, I was on fire about this. A little bit still learning about it, and it wasn't really till March when we turned the burners on because we had a few things to clear our plate. But I'll tell you what, we are. Really, what inspires me up the most is the fact that we're creating an ecosystem of righteousness. So, a righteously inclined movement that if there's a wrong, we're going to make it right. And first, I guess we should start off with what's blockchain technology. I'm going to ask her to talk about that in just a second. But I want to point out one other thing. I was had my heels dug in about the internet when it came out, and I wanted nothing to do with the internet. And guess what? I couldn't. It didn't matter how I felt about it. But what? Look at it today. And imagine if you had the opportunity to have been able to get involved and have monetized the internet when it was just getting started. But you know what? We didn't do that. What we did was we just went along for the ride. And here now, where blockchain technology is actually outpacing the growth of the internet at its same point in development. So I just want to invite you to keep that in mind. You're getting involved with something that I personally believe maybe 95% of the whole entire world population has any idea about. So first thing, what is blockchain technology? So I'll turn that over to her to go into that a little bit, and then we'll talk a little bit about some of the projects that we're involved in and how the money is made.
Yeah, well, that's a good place to start because most people don't have any understanding of what blockchain technology is. And quite frankly, prior to February of this past year, we didn't know what blockchain technology is. And so when you think of, the World Economic Forum saying things like $867 trillion worth of global business can possibly be disrupted by blockchain technology because it's growing faster than the internet, I think it's worth investigating. And so when we looked at it, what we found out was that it's pretty, I'm getting a little bit of an echo someplace in here. It's pretty simple to understand and pretty simple to explain, quite frankly. But the dynamics of it is it's more than the simplicity of understanding it. The dynamics of it is actually quite astounding. And if you think about how much computer software there is on the face of the planet today, it's overwhelming. We're talking about 8.3 billion people living on the planet. Most of them have something that looks like this, cell phone, which has software on it. If you're on a laptop or a desktop or some kind of a computer, there's more software there. And multiply that by 1,000 times of what can be held in the cloud, in cyberspace. So we're talking about tens of billions of software programs that can run simultaneously around the planet. And blockchain technology is nothing more than a lot of those softwares interfacing, I guess you can say, communicating with each other, and they're looking at information, items, data, validating it or discrediting it. And once they do that, they'll stamp it into a block of information. Then they'll do it again, and they'll stamp another block and attach it to the previous block. Then they'll do it again and create another block of information and attach it to the previous two blocks, and so forth and so forth. This essentially making a chain of these blocks of information. That's where the term blockchain comes from. But when you really stop to think about it, it's mind-boggling, because what you find out is that, number one, the word decentralization is going to become a common word amongst the people of the planet Earth, because that means that all of this data and information is created from programs or softwares that are literally global. It doesn't matter if they're in Charlotte, North Carolina, or in Taipei, or if they're in Budapest, or if they're in Istanbul, or if they're in Milan, Italy, or if they're in Buenos Aires, or if they're in Mexico City, Seoul, Korea. They can all be interfacing and creating a network of these computers that are actually confirming data. And once they do that, I mean, it's hard to change it. In fact, it's said that they're making an immutable ledger. That's a ledger that can never be changed. And if a ledger can never be changed, you can always go back and verify the information that they validated or discredited. That's blockchain. So it's not only is it fascinating because of the decentralization, but what does that allow for? It allows for people or individuals to conduct peer-to-peer transactions without a bank, without a trusted third party. And so people can literally say to another person around the globe, hey, you have this, I want it, I'm willing to give you this, give me your wallet pass, private key or receive key, I'm going to send you X amount of value, whether it's in cryptocurrency or whatever, and they'll send it to them, and they'll make an exchange, and they don't need a bank to validate that exchange. It's just an easier way to do things. And I heard Tony, one of the people that we were introduced to when we were early on in February to this was a gentleman by the name of Tony Swantek, who Patty mentioned, and he said, when he first had the opportunity to pay a bill online, he was writing out a check, and this young, almost, it sounded like it was a teenager, said, what are you doing? And he said, well, I'm paying a bill. And he goes, well, why are you writing it out? And he says, because that's the way you do it. And the teenager said, well, why don't you just pay that online? And he didn't understand what that meant. And the teenager kind of walked him through it. And he said, that's definitely a more efficient way to do transactions. Why write a check again in my life when I can just do everything online? Today, most of you pay your bills online. Most of you. And if you're still writing the checks, you need to be told that today's not, as it's 2024. People don't do that anymore. Everything's done online. Why? Because it's a more efficient way of doing things. So when we think about blockchain technology, the efficiency of it is much greater than anything we've ever seen before. And when we have the ability to create these immutable ledgers that allows people to conduct peer-to-peer transactions, it gets really, really exciting. Look, the whole world is starting to realize that we're in a stage of the game right now where everything is changing. Economically, politically, the socioeconomic trends that have been guiding the world for the last 30, 40, 50 years, they're starting to change right now. And people are starting to realize that something new is coming and something new is happening. And if you doubt that, you might want to take a historical look of just the last 24 hours of what happened with Bitcoin. I mean, I woke up this morning and I looked at Bitcoin at 6:30 a.m. this morning, and I think it was around $88,000. By 7:30 a.m., it was at $90,000. By 8 a.m. this morning, it was at $93,000. Something is happening. People are starting to realize that what we're placing value in is starting to change right now. And so blockchain when I first heard about it, I thought it was big. I thought it was cryptocurrency. And blockchain is no more cryptocurrency than the internet is email. And so cryptocurrency is to the blockchain what email is to the internet. And so keep that in mind because they're not synonymous terms, blockchain and cryptocurrency. But cryptocurrency is created on the blockchain. The value of it is created on the blockchain. And so, long story short, Patty and I started to realize almost immediately, man, we're going to go down a rabbit hole real quick of information that we don't understand, that the majority of the people on the planet have no comprehensive understanding of, and it's going to be a big deal. And now we started to watch the election, and we started to watch people like Robert Kennedy Jr. starting to say that he wants the whole government to be on the blockchain so that we can see if they were spending $150,000 on a toilet. He wants everything to be accountable. And so they're going down this route. As a matter of fact, I can tell you right now, beyond a shadow of a doubt, I know for a fact that the whole Trump campaign, they're looking at cryptocurrency and blockchain technology as a means to really debunk the central banking system. So let's talk about that for a second. I get this all the time. People are saying, "Why are you so into cryptocurrency?" And my answer is, I'm not so much into cryptocurrency as I am in protecting people's value. And so, what are people putting value on right now? If you wanted to sell your house in a market that crashes, because the US dollar can crash, no question about it. If you haven't heard of the alliance called BRICS, it stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and Saudi Arabia. They're literally making an alliance to debunk the US dollar as the global standard. And if they accomplish that, which I believe they can, what's going to happen to the value of the US dollar? It's going to go like this, especially when you start to realize that 60% of all fiat currency created in the United States has been printed in the last 12 months. 60% of all the dollars you see has been printed in the last 12 months. What does that tell you? It tells you that they're creating inflation right before our very eyes. And they're devaluing our US dollar. And now you have a whole bunch of countries looking to say, we don't want to accept the US dollar anymore. And if they accomplish that, everything starts to implode. You'll start to watch the markets drop. You'll start to watch crazy stuff happening in the world. And if that becomes a reality, think about those of you who live in the real world in the United States and you have a home. Let's say you wanted to sell your home. So you wanted to sell, you're going to sell your home. What are you going to accept for payment for it? If the US dollar drops in value to where it's valueless, like a depression, what are you going to accept for payment for your home? It's either going to be gold, silver, or cryptocurrency. That's the bottom line. It's going to be gold, silver, or cryptocurrency. Why cryptocurrency? Why is cryptocurrency in the talk with God's money, gold and silver? Because the value of it has been created by people around the globe saying, I see value in that, and I'm willing to pay you for that. And that's why you saw, or you have seen, or are seeing Bitcoin, for example, go from when it was introduced. I believe that the white paper for Bitcoin was introduced 14 years ago this past Halloween, October 31st, a couple months ago. 14 years ago, the white paper was released. And so in 2009, you probably could have bought Bitcoin for 25 cents, maybe 50 cents. I know for a fact in 2010, you could have bought it for $1. Today, if you want to buy one, you're going to pay $90,000 as we speak for one. And so, and it's still undervalued, believe it or not, because they just went through their halving process. And I won't bore you with an understanding of what the halving process is for those of you who are new to this. But every 4 years, Bitcoin goes through a halving, and it goes on this growth curve that has been very almost identical every 4 years. And so if it repeats the process that it has been repeating since 2008, we can possibly see Bitcoin grow to about $160,000 by December of 2025. It's just the way it is. And so you either see it and understand it and you dive in and you take a hold of it, or you sit back and you wish you had. And so we've met a lot of people over the course of the last several months that have made a tremendous amount of money with Bitcoin, for example. Many of them have bought the coins. I know a gentleman who bought 1,000 Bitcoin in 2010 for $1,000. Today, that $1,000 worth of Bitcoin is worth $90 million. And so when you start to think about cryptocurrency, as intimidating as it might seem, as people uneducated people start to say there's no value behind it. When I say there's a ton of value behind it, when you have individuals around the world saying, I see value and I'm only going to pay you for it, there's value behind it. But when you start to see, the dynamics of what has happened in that space with Bitcoin happening across the board with all cryptocurrencies, and then you start to recognize one thing that they have in common. And this is where the game changer comes into play. This is why we're here. None of them have provided a real world utility. None of them. So along comes a community called Connect United. That's us. And what we're doing is we're bringing forward projects. Now, projects on the blockchain are like companies. And we're bringing forth projects that literally have real world utility that people know and that they can use and that people can relate to. And all of a sudden, we're running them on blockchain and people can get rewarded for it. I'll give you two examples. How many of you have taken an Uber ride or a Lyft ride? Uber and Lyft are huge companies. And if you really look at Uber and Lyft, you're like, man, they're like, I think Patty and I were sitting with the CEO of our ride share 2 nights ago. Patty probably went over with him today because he was at a baseball game right today. And we were talking about how many Uber rides are taking in the United States every day. Anybody know the answer? 15 million Uber rides are taking in the just in the US every single day. And so when he told me that, I'm like, well, how many Lyft rides are taken every day? About 5 million. So you have nearly 20 million rideshare rides taken every single day in the United States. 20 million. So who gets rewarded for that? Certainly not the drivers, because they're all disgruntled. They are all complaining that they don't make any money. I remember taking a ride in Miami. I'm in West Palm Beach, Florida right now. We took a ride in Miami not too long ago. I asked the driver how much he was making for the ride. He immediately responded to me, how much are you paying for the ride? I said, well, I'm paying $48. And he says, that's the problem. It's my car, my insurance, my maintenance, my gas, my time, everything. He goes, of your $48, they're paying me $14. So I said to him, what if there was a situation or a ride share that surfaced where you would be paid 30 to 40% more per ride? And your drivers would be, your riders, your clients would pay 20 to 30% less per ride. And every time you gave somebody a ride, you would earn cryptocurrency tokens, and so would your passenger. How would that work? Would you like that? That would be amazing. That's a utility. That's what we call a real world utility. This is things that people are really using today. Well, we have a project called Revo. And quite frankly, I think that Revo, they could really go after Uber and Lyft in a major way and take serious market share from these mega huge companies. I'm talking mega huge. When you look at Uber, they probably have a market cap someplace in the vicinity of 125 million. 125. It's crazy. It's a big company. Big company. Well, if people knew that they can pay less for their rides and get rewarded every time they did that, I suspect they would do that. And another project, really disrupting the video conferencing space. We're all here tonight on this platform called Rlink. Rlink is a video conference platform that's going to compete with Zoom. It's going to compete with GoToMeeting, Google Talks, Microsoft Teams. Why is it going to compete? Because we're talking about a decentralized platform. You see, this platform that you're looking at right now is not owned by a company. It's owned by the people who own the software, who actually create it. And so as we use this software, as we use this platform, guess what's happening? We get rewarded for it. And so imagine being able to do video conferencing every single day and getting rewarded for it. Like, where do you hear about that? Well, Rlink is doing that right now. I happen to think this platform is better than Zoom, personally. I've been using it for a while. I happen to think it's better than any video conferencing platform that I've ever seen. And so we're excited by it because we're going to really take this to the masses. It's going to become market driven. And once it becomes market driven, all bets are off. It's like people are going to start to understand that there's a new video conferencing platform that's surfacing that you can be rewarded for using. So imagine earning tokens and rewards for using a video conferencing platform. If you knew that that was going to happen, tell me why you would ever use Zoom. Why would you ever use another video conferencing platform again in your life? I don't think you would. And so once you come to understand this, everything starts to change in your thinking. They've conditioned people to think that there's only one way to do things. They condition people to think that you've got to do it their way. When we're telling people, you don't have to. You can do it a different way with a better platform and be rewarded for it. Isn't it nice to be rewarded for things? Think about it for a second. I don't know how many people use one of these. I'm sure you all do. It's called the credit card, right? I use this one. Why? Because you see what it says on the top? Advantage. You know what that means? I get rewards from American Airlines. Now, I don't use this because I think American Airlines is the best airline in the world. Far from it. But they're convenient to me. Patty and I live between Jacksonville, Florida, and Charlotte, North Carolina. Charlotte happens to be a hub for American Airlines. Every time I use this card, they give me rewards. I redeem the rewards for flights. And when I use my rewards for flights, if there's an upgraded seat available, they normally give it to me. So it's very, very nice to use it. And so I use this because I'm rewarded for it. Why use any other video conferencing platform if you're not rewarded for it? It's one of the reasons why everybody around the globe, they're going to hear about Rlink, which you're on right now, and they're going to start to use this platform. They're going to start to hear, well, wait a minute. Where did this platform come from? Where is it being distributed from? What is this Connect community? And what other projects do they have? And they'll start to hear about other projects. They'll start to hear about our Revo rideshare. They'll start to download the app. They'll get the app from the person who told them about it. The person who told them about it will be rewarded for sharing the app with that person. It's word of mouth, so on and so on. Some of the people who are being introduced to this atmosphere right now, they're masterful at networking. Masterful. They're like some of the best people in the world at networking. I mean, they're seeing it. They're also understanding that there's a big task in front of us. We've got to take massive amounts of people into a space that they're totally unfamiliar with. Blockchain technology. Most people don't understand what it is. Cryptocurrency. Most people still don't understand what it is. Most people, they don't understand the dynamics of it, but yet people have made billions and billions and billions of dollars in the space. And when you think about the space of cryptocurrency, I'm going to tell you right now, there's only 3 ways to earn cryptocurrency or to get it. Number 1, you can have it given to you. Like I give cryptocurrency away to friends all the time because I want them to experience the transaction and how seamless it is and how easy it is to do. So you can have it given to you if you're fortunate enough, or you can go on the exchanges and buy it. There's many exchanges out there, MetaMask, Coinbase, all those types of exchanges. You can buy it, or you can produce it. It's called mining. When you look at the people who've earned significant incomes with Bitcoin, for example, many of them bought the coins, but the people who made billions, they produced the coins, they mined it. The challenge is back then, mining was done with hardware. And so you literally had to get what looked like servers, a lot of them, thousands of them, house them in warehouse, run them every day. Every month you would get a bill, electric bill, tens of thousands of dollars, 70, 80, $90,000 to mine Bitcoin. Well, today that mining process is done through software. So we don't have to buy the hardware any longer. We buy the software. It's just like this platform, Arlink. You can buy the software for this platform. And because you own the software, you get rewarded for it every single day. You get coins produced every single day. Those coins can be turned around and flipped into the market and be converted into tokens. And those tokens get value. And as more people start using the platform, the value starts to increase. It's a very simple understanding or concept to understand how this all works. Once you're in it long enough, and it's just a matter of every single day, how many people can we expose to what's going on to blockchain technology? Today, I speak about it openly. I'm in West Palm Beach to play baseball right now. I've been playing baseball for what, the last week or two? 2 weeks. Every single day in the dugout, I say openly to people, like this morning, I remember going in there this morning, I'm like, anybody see what Bitcoin did this morning? What? They went from $89,000 to $93,000 in like 45 minutes. Who still thinks that it's a fluke? It's no longer a fluke. People are going to start to hear what's going on. Anybody hear what's going on with the Trump cabinet? What? They're introducing blockchain technology, and they're making the United States, they want to make it the world's reserve for Bitcoin. And if they're doing that, what are they saying? They're saying that it's a legitimate means of transaction. It's a legitimate currency that's starting to occur. And so now we're saying we've got a community called Connect that's bringing utility, video conferencing, rideshare, food, everything that can be disrupted. We're the only community in the world doing this right now. And all of you can participate in it. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. I'm not saying it's going to be, pie in the sky and, just get in and all of a sudden it's going to happen. It's going to take a lot of work for us to communicate this to massive amounts of people. And that's what we're doing right now with you. And we would encourage you to get back in touch with the person who invited you here this evening and ask more questions. Ask them, how can I get started? Set up an account. Get a free wallet. You're going to need a wallet in the future. You might as well get it now. It's free. It's not custodial. The only person that will have control of it is you. And then it's off to the races, guys. I mean, we have a lot of fun communicating with people that we're dealing with right now. A ton of fun. And they're all starting to hope and believe in something greater than what's possible or what's been in existence right now. They're starting to believe that we can reshape global economies, and we can. And we'll do it with Connect United.
You done? All righty. Well, that's awesome. Yeah, I think this platform too is going to take us to the moon because it's such an easy platform. No, everybody knows how to use video conferencing, but we do have a couple other projects that are amazing. The people invited you just for the sake of time because Rebbe went on for a while there. For the sake of time, what we'll do is we'll just encourage you to get back with whomever invited you to this overview tonight. And as I'm learning more and more about blockchain technology and realizing the magnitude of the impact it's going to make really on the world economy. I mean, I don't like this organization I'm going to mention, but the World Economic Forum even said $867 trillion of global business will be disrupted by blockchain technology. So it's coming, whether you want it to come or whether I wanted it to come. I was like this going in, but I didn't know what I didn't know is the bottom line. And there was a German philosopher who once said that there are three phases to every endeavor, and the first is ridicule. People ridicule it; they don't want to know about it. With the previous presidential campaigns and all of them being involved and interested in the blockchain and accepting crypto and all that, people are becoming more and more open-minded. It's like the beginning of the internet, but it's ridiculed right now. That's the first phase. The second is violently opposed. People come at you. Oh, this is that, and they talk trash. But you know what? Then it becomes self-evident. And as we approach this self-evident phase, I'm going to tell you what. That is when, and I also have to point out that only 3% of everybody that is going to get involved in any of these types of opportunities get involved during the first two most lucrative phases. That's now. So we didn't talk about the money. You know what? They chose to take it through a word of mouth. They chose to take it through an affiliate program. It's not network marketing. But you know what? Instead of spending millions and millions of dollars on advertising campaigns and some advertising company, what they did was they chose to take it through through us, through a group of people. You're messing with the settings, son. I don't even see myself anymore. Oh my gosh, what are you doing? He's messing with the settings over there, so just bear with me. So anyway, why don't you do this? Get back in touch with whomever invited you to the call tonight, because he's making me start to sweat right now with the settings, you guys. But it's a very crucial point in our development. And really, you have to thank the person who invited you tonight, because whoever invited you here cared enough to share it with you. They really had the nerve enough to share it with you, because quite honestly, when we're in a violently opposed or ridiculed spot, when things are just starting, but it's starting, I'm starting to see more and more that self-evident phase up on the approach. And so you'll see people make a lot of money. I was just going to say that it's brought to you through people. And so there's a 10% commission for the affiliate program. You do a little couple things that's in the comp plan, and you'll get to 20%. Very simple to get to that of any sales that you make. Because if you decide to do this, compared to like when we were in Puerto Rico and Wright showed us on his computer what looked like a warehouse full, like a football field worth of computers, thousands of computers, all sorts of money expended, all sorts of energy expense to mine Bitcoin. He took home $4 billion. Okay, so it was very worth it to him. But he literally had to have read the white papers and forethought that, because up to that point there was never an example of a success story in crypto until Bitcoin. Here, we have real world utility on our projects. We're stopping human trafficking. We're stopping child labor. We've got a project called Element that's going after, and having ethical mining to stop the blood diamonds. These are things that fire me up. I don't know about you, but to get involved in something to stop that, to be able to know what we're eating, our grow project, to literally, we don't know what we're eating. They're sending our chicken to China for processing. To here on a blockchain technology and a mutable truth ledger, we can find out exactly what's no hormones, no antibiotics. We have farms all around the world now. So I want you to really investigate this. Don't let this pass you by, because what happens is if it passes you by, then you're going to kick yourself. So I encourage you, get back with whomever shared this with you. Open your free account with Connect. They'll give you a link. There's also a wallet in there, and I always point this out so people don't mess up. Really, it's really basically you're opening your own bank. You're going to be in control. This is called freedom, the ability to have freedom so that you're in control of your money. We just had almost $7,000 taken out of our account a few weeks ago because they told us we owed taxes in South Carolina for some. We haven't even lived there in years. And the point is, though, for them to have the ability to do that, that just shows you that's a custodial account. They control it. It's not even your money. Go to try to get it out. And so when you get involved here, when you open your wallet, wallet, it's your wallet. You're going to be issued a computer generated 12-word key phrase. Don't screen shoot that. Don't take a screenshot of those words. You don't want to put it in the cloud and compromise it. Write them down, make a couple copies, make sure it's in a fireproof safe in a couple places. Maybe give it to two of your kids or something. But the point is, safeguard that. It comes with an encryption password because when you go in to utilize the monies in your wallet, then you're going to need that password. So just remember I said that. I always like to say that because a lot of people, I don't know if they're not listening or not hearing it, but it's so important to do. So anyway, with that, we're going to call this a call. I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. Please get back in touch with whomever invited you. Get that link. Get on there. Oh, by the way, there's a whole academy, educational academy, like that's in there. So valuable. It's all free. And if you decide to join us, you're going to be thankful that you did, because I have a feeling that those of you that don't, a few years from now, you'll be kicking yourself. But anyway, God bless you, everybody. God bless, and go back and ask yourself, who can I help today?